democracy is a moot issue. Although the example of Singapore shows that it is possible to use law to change people's attitudes and behavior. The moderator, in spite of the foregoing caveats, in principle, the calls to amend the Constitution are in order, because the Constitution is not like a Bible, whose precepts are held to be unchangeable. If it were so, the Constitution would not contain procedures for making changes to it. In fact, by law, on a regular basis, some countries depending on ministers and deputy ministers, and they must be defended by them, including in Parliament. I think that a system where ministers and their deputies are drawn from outside Parliament will be better suited to holding the executive in check. Indeed, the requirement to appoint so many ministers from Parliament may be an incentive for a president to increase the number of ministers in order to minimize potential trouble with Parliament. Now, the Council of State. We would all agree that the Council of State has an imposing name, but the way it has so far gone about its work thing in particular that I think requires clarification. The President appoints some people in consultation with the Council, and some on the advice of the Council. What is the difference? Some lawyers say there is no difference at all, and the President can do as he pleases in both instances. But others say that unlike consultation, in the case of advice, the President cannot appoint unless he is so advised. If that is indeed the case, it must be made explicit in any amendment to the Constitution so that the President cannot ignore the advice of the Council. Now, local government. I strongly believe that we cannot achieve any appreciable level of development in this country without fundamental reforms in our local government system. I strongly believe that. Perhaps the failure of our local government system is best dramatized by the not infrequent calls on the President and the central government to provide toilets for towns and villages. That, for me, dramatizes the failure of our local government. Clearly, what we have now is the shadow and not the substance of decentralization. But I think a number of things could be done to make decentralization real. One, We must abandon the earlier idea of gradual devolution of powers, go back to the drawing board, and give the assemblies, district, municipal, and metropolitan real and adequate powers and resources to decide and do things on their own.